Hi guys, hello and welcome to another C# programming tutorial. In this tutorial we will learn about multi-dimensional array. I already set up this example for you so that I can explain you how this example is. And besides doing multi-dimensional array, we will also learn about how you can create parallel arrays to multi-dimensional arrays. So first of all, as you can see in this program, I have a multi-dimensional array. It's a two-dimensional array. In order for you to create a two-dimensional array in C#, let me first show you how a single-dimensional array is created as a review, especially for those of you who are joining me for the first time. Now here we have an array, line number 23. It's a single-dimensional array. It has one square bracket. This is the name of the array, and it's preloaded with 5 values. There is another parallel array, which is same size as the previous array. It's also a single-dimensional array of type double called sums, but it is not preloaded with values. So that's how you can declare it. So size 5 means indexes 0 through 4. Now, when you create a two-dimensional array, you still use one square box, but you put a comma there in the middle. That comma means that whatever is to the left defines rows, whatever to the right defines columns, even though we did not put any numbers there. But based on how I use the number of rows and the number of values within each row, it will define the row and columns. You may be wondering about the jagged and the ragged arrays, which we'll talk about in the next tutorial. Here, as you can see, each one of the inside curly braces is separated by comma. There shouldn't be any comma after the last one. So now that defines that there are 5 rows here, and each row has 4 values. So row number 1 is actually index 0. Row number 2 is index 1, as you know that the first row's index or first column's index is 0. So if I'm looking for value in the third score of the third student, that pretty much means 2, 2. If I'm looking for the first score of third student, that will be 2, 0. So row always comes first, comma, the column. Okay? So now that gives you an idea of how the two-dimensional array is actually looked for. So what I did here is I created a nested loop. My outer loop will control the rows. As you can see over here, it runs 0 through 4 because there are a total of 5 rows. Or I could do less than 5. Either way, it's okay. And every time I am looping, I'm displaying the name of the student before I enter the inner loop because I want to display the student name only once for all the scores of that student. So anything that is done only once for the multiple values is done in the outer loop. And anything that is done with each value will be done in the inner loop. Now my inner loop runs from 0 through 3, which is total of 4 times because I have 4 scores for my student. Every time it traverses, I'd say that I want to display the score number. I'm just adding 1 to it for the display purpose so that the user doesn't see score number 0 is this. Rather, the user will see score 1, even though behind the scene it's index number 0. So score number 1 equals to, and this is how I'm pulling the score by giving the row and the column references. And every time I'm traversing through this process, I have this sums array because I want to maintain the sum of all the scores for each student separate, because then I want to be able to calculate the average for each student. And because if I use a single variable, every time I run through it, it will be overridden for every student because I want to preserve it and outside of the loop calculate the average and the letter grade. So now this program doesn't use any modularization because I've not yet introduced modularization to you. So that's why in the next set of tutorials, we will do the same example with the help of modularization. So now as you can see over here, I'm calculating the sum. The sum can be calculated by doing sums equal to sums plus current score, or I could use the plus equals to, which is a shortcut operator to do the exact same job. So anyway, here we are calculating the running total for each student. And then I have a new line separator between each student. After I'm done with calculating the running total for each student, now outside of my outer loop, I have another loop. In this loop, I will be running the length of my student names array, because all I want to do is display the student name, their average, and then the letter grade. So instead of doing the calculations over and over again, I'm storing my calculations inside a variable called avg. And then I'm calling the names array and using the index number of the loop to pull the student's name, then displaying the student average, and running the student average through an if condition to figure out what will be the letter grade for the student. Again, I will be giving you this code inside the description, so you don't have to type all of this. That's why I'm just going over the description of this code with you. So now let's test this code. So first of all, when you run this program, right at the beginning of the program, you will see that it displays the student name and the 4 scores, student name and the 4 scores, and so on and so forth. And it calculates the running total, but doesn't display that. It is used afterwards to display a student name, their average score, and based on their average score, their letter grade. So in this one example, the idea was to include many concepts that I have taught you in the past. We learn about multidimensional arrays, we learn about parallel arrays, we learn about putting parallel arrays with a multidimensional array, because the dimension of the outside single dimensional array will align itself to the row of the two-dimensional array. We also learn about loops, nested loops, and besides that, we also learn about using an if condition again. Well, I hope this tutorial helped you not only revise many concepts, but also learn about multidimensional arrays. Till then, take care, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Till then, bye-bye.